Hey YouTubers, I'm continuing the install of the railroad in the new room. Got my coffee, got my big fat cat, and a level and a pencil. That's what we're doing today. We're gonna put up the fascia, or not the fascia, what do you call it? The valance, the light valance that has a fascia. So you can see I marked the walls. These walls are, actually my fat cat has a new sister that looks just like a mini me of Rigby. So Rigby and April. And there's another one called Dash. Dash and April are Siamese, part Siamese, so they're crazy. All right, so let's see. What I've started to do is mark it 16 inches off the top of the layout. It's a good height because that way you get light, but you don't see up into the lights. It gives it a nice kind of diorama feel, if you will, to steal the famous Canadian guy's terminology. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring, well, 16 inches is like 65.5 inches off the floor. So, not that you guys haven't measured things before, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing today. So yeah, 65.5 inch. I'm just putting marks in the wall and then I'm using my level. And when I took this thing down, some of you might remember, I took the entire, you see that plywood board there, that's what's going to go there along that line. So the line will go along the bottom of that, and that'll screw into the wall, and then the valance, which is this thing, the blue foam, just hangs off that with shelf brackets. So hopefully it kind of is like putting a puzzle together, if all goes well, if the walls are level, etc. One thing I did notice, the challenge when you move a layout that was tight against the wall. This side is fine because the wall in the garage where this was level. The wall in the garage where this was on this run wasn't actually, even though the house was new, it was only 5 years old, there was a window, if you remember, at that end. So the wall sort of curved out. I guess it was a sheetrock. And I went and I put the plywood up and just kind of followed the pattern of the wall. So now this wall's flat. So what happens is this section is sort of sticking out in the middle and two ends have a big gap. So I got to figure that out. I think what I might do is get a belt sander just with real rough paper on the back side there, and just take down, kind of shape it so it fits in the wall. So, what was meant to be a real easy fix isn't. But we'll get there. I did put, I put legs on this end. So this end was floating. It's a floating shelf. I thought I'll keep the legs and I'll still just tack it to the studs in the wall so that it doesn't move. But I like having the legs on it so it's not putting all that stress on the studs in the wall. In the garage it was fine because it was a concrete block. These are inner walls, so they're not concrete block. That's an outer wall that is concrete block. It's a Florida home after all. Anyway, let's keep going and I'll show you the progress. One thing I'm gonna have to do, but I'm gonna do it after I get the valance up, is this wall. You can see the wall has got a pattern on it, which is a orange peel pattern. So I got some comments on different ideas. They're all good, but I think the simplest one is gonna just put some skim coat this with joint compound and just smooth it out that way. It's interesting. I don't know if you can see on a camera, there's actually letters, a Disney kind of thing. It says dream, 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 your dreams will come true, written in some sort of a relief on the wall. So yeah, we'll have to cover that too. It was a kid's room at one point, obviously. Yeah, fun times. Good tip, I was measuring 65.5 inches off the floor. And then I took my level and the floor is not level. I mean, it's almost level, but So what I ended up having to do now is just use that initial line, which is 65 inches off the floor, and then you can see that this actually is a little bit higher. I'm just redrawing it a little higher, just making sure it's level. So better to be true level versus following the floor, because ultimately the layout's going to be true level because I've got adjustable legs down here. Those little turning things under each leg. Seaver's bench work. Actually, it's Seaver's bench work, but I just imitated Seaver's where I added my own legs. I used the same setup that they use. Same thing over there. So all the legs are adjustable. So yeah, definitely use the level, not just measuring distance from the floor. Here's where you really see the difference. This is 65 inches off the floor all the way across, and then this is level. So I mean, that's a good quarter inch, if not more. There's another tip for you. I bought the this superpower magnet, Amazon, not that expensive. And it's made to find studs. It's one of those, probably those rare earth magnets. But you know, as much as I try to use the stud finder, it's all over the place. You know, those things are, they pick up weird things in the wall. So I mark them because in theory 16 on center, but some of them are not. This is like 13, and then 16, 16, 13. Why, I don't know. But this thing is great because once you mark, you can then move around until you find sheetrock nails, boom. And it just pulls right onto it. I mean, it's unmistakable. And you can go up and down that line and you can find them. I mean, that's the only thing that would be in the wall pulling it like that. And the fact that it's finding nails or sheetrock screws right in that place I marked it gives me confidence, because what I don't want to do is drill into like a vacuum line or some other line. This is what I have to see. This is a good example of where I have, well, let's see what's going on here. You've got sheetrock screws on either side of the sheetrock. As they join, they probably join on this stud. So this one is probably where I marked it initially, which is right here in between. I'll double check that, but all the other ones seem to be dead center with the line. So that tells me the sheetrock just crosses over. But it makes sense. If you've got a seam, you're going to have nails on both sides or screws on both sides. So yeah, you just double check, because you don't want to be drilling into things you don't want to drill into behind the wall. So that's a good tip for you. These things are great. Making progress. It looks like hell, but those pieces of wood there you see unpainted are just brackets that hold these different sections together. I did that before I took it off the wall at the old house. That way it's one piece that I can level and screw into the wall. So the good news is I just use sheetrock screws into the studs instead of concrete screws, Tapcons, which I had to use on the other house. Got some LEDs going up and around the ceiling. This was a kid's room, so pay homage to the kid. I'll leave those there. Just put them, I'll cut them short. Add a little ambient lighting in the room for fun. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that strip up, and then when I added the extension at the far end there's another section of valance that has to be mounted. That'll be easier. But once this is up, I take off these cross beams, and then I put the shelf brackets on here, and if all goes well, I should just be able to slip the whole light valance on that bracket. You won't see it, and everything will look good. And then of course, there's another section that goes over here, and that's got the kind of a nice curve in the valance to match the curve in the layout. So I'm going to continue with this section here and see how it goes. Another tip, since this is plywood, I want to make sure the screws grab the studs, so I'll drill the diameter of the sheetrock screw through the plywood first. That way it's only biting into the studs, because otherwise you can't really tell because it gets hung up in the plywood and you don't know how tight it's pulling against the wall. So I like to, when I'm going through plywood specifically because it's so tough, I like to pre-drill all the way through it and then let the sheetrock screw pass through that hole without biting the wood, and then it'll go through that and actually bite into the stud. Now that that board is on the wall, gonna have to paint in here obviously. As I screwed this into the sheetrock, some of the nails popped out because you pull the sheetrock tight. This house was built in '97, I think, so they're probably still using nails in some spots. What I did is I numbered each of these brackets so that they go with the corresponding, whatever it is, bracket holder. Because you never know, there's always variability. So as much as possible, I'm trying to reproduce what I had. So I'm gonna put those up and then try to slide the valance over top of it. All right, well, part of it's up. It worked as planned. Lights are under there still, so we just get those wired up. A little adjusting here and there, but not terrible. We'll get it all situated, and then we'll start on that one and the piece on the end. And then connect the layout itself where there's a big fault. Political rift, like in America. It's about all I want to do for a Saturday. So got everything up, got the lights working, and a lot of work to do on the layout itself. Clean it, get all the detailing back, the buildings, get it operational. So yeah, it's looking pretty good, all things considered. Got a lot of other things going on, but this found some time today. Have to work on this. I'll just retrack. I'll put track that goes over that so you don't have the joints right there. And I'm going to replace that turnout and this turnout here because they're just bent up. And yeah, it was quite a bit of work because things never quite go the way you plan them the first time. I had to put that valance up about 3 times, so I don't want to bore you with that. But, you know, I just need to get all the finishing touches. I need to put longer screws in some spots. It's tacked onto the wall, but I got it to work, and there's, you know, inevitably there's going to be variation in the wall versus where you had it before. So what I have in some cases, there's a little gap there, like a 1/4 inch, but that's not a problem. I can push the building back and fill that in. You know, it's there and then it's not over here. So you can't get it perfect when you move to a different location, but when I'm done with it, you'll never notice. And I'm looking forward to getting this thing running again, getting some more content on YouTube. I mean, I know a couple of guys have already sort of teased the idea of filling in that little, I don't know what that is, 12-foot section. You know me, I'll probably do it. And what that'll do is it'll give me a longer main line and a longer maintenance away track, so I can park a lot of maintenance away vehicles, which I like. I get that idea from Mike H.O. on YouTube. He does great work with maintenance away vehicles, so I hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for more. Cheers.